Hey there and welcome, my name is Pete and today we complete Mass Effect 2. The successor to Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2 continues the storyline of the first game, and so are we as we set out to start another completionist playthrough. Now we will import our Commander Shepard from the first game, so the journey will continue with all the choices we have made so far. Now, if you haven't watched it already, at this point I can of course highly recommend the Mass Effect 1 series, otherwise quite a few things in this playthrough might be a bit hard to follow. However, I also understand that you probably don't want to watch the entire series before coming back to this video, and conveniently enough, you don't have to. This is where the Mass Effect 2 Genesis DLC comes into play, which serves as a nice condensed 15-minute recap of the first game's storyline and the major decisions in it. I have just uploaded a video of that, you can find it linked in the card on the screen as well as in the description and the comments, and that video should get you up to speed. Of course, if you still want to dive in deeper, then by all means feel free to check out the full Mass Effect 1 playthrough, maybe you can catch up on that while you're waiting for new episodes of this one. And with that being said, let's also quickly establish what this playthrough is going to be about. Just like with the first game, we are doing a full completionist playthrough of Mass Effect 2. That means we will complete the game's main storyline, all side missions, and all available storyline DLC. In true completionist fashion, we will also complete all achievements for Mass Effect 2, including those for the DLC. We will also complete all available upgrades and item collections in the game, however, to avoid spoilers, I won't go into any more detail at this point. Last but not least, we are of course once again playing on Insanity difficulty, which is the highest possible difficulty setting in the game. And I would say that already sets us up to dive in. As always, I will of course explain a lot more as we move along, but for now, let's jump in and play some Mass Effect 2. Starting us off, we have a quick look at the options for this playthrough, and here you can see it, Insanity difficulty is enabled, and this actually has an additional effect apart from the difficulty of the game, as it makes a unique weapon available that can only be obtained on this and the hardcore difficulty. Other than that, you can see I prefer to micromanage things, so the automatic level up and the squad power usage are disabled. Just like in the first game, we will take care of that ourselves. Subtitles are enabled for your convenience, I have also turned the autosave feature on, and with that, let's continue. Here we can now see the service history of our imported Commander Shepard from the first game, in which we played the default male version of Shepard, who we were able to level up to the maximum level for the first playthrough, which is 50, and per the default settings, his class was that of a soldier. Now, for the most part, Commander Shepard followed the Paragon path in our playthrough of Mass Effect 1. Just real quick, the Paragon and Renegade system serves as a measurement of morality in the game, with Paragon choices being generally more peaceful and more compassionate, while Renegade points are being awarded for being ruthless and intimidating. Now, we got our fair share of both in the first game. Overall, though, Shepard leaned a bit more towards Paragon, and I would say that will carry on in this game as well. On the planet Virmire then, we had a confrontation with our Krogan ally Rex, and it was absolutely possible for Rex to die in that confrontation. However, we managed to defuse the situation and everyone made it out alive. Well, not everyone. Also on Virmire, we had to make a tough decision with time running out, and ultimately we had to sacrifice one of our squad members, and we chose Ashley Williams. At the end of the game then, we had to make another major decision. In the final battle against the Reaper's Sovereign, the Citadel Council came under attack, but heroically we chose to sacrifice some of our strength in order to save them. Once again, this right here just a brief summary of the events in Mass Effect 1. If you want to learn a bit more, then feel free to check out the recap, because at this point we are jumping into the game, and with that, Pete Completes Mass Effect 2 begins right now.
Shepard did everything right, more than we could have hoped for. Saving the Citadel, even saving the Council, humanity has the trust of the entire galaxy. And still, it's not enough.
Our sacrifices have earned the Council's gratitude, but Shepard remains our best hope.
But they're sending him to fight Geth. Geth. We both know they're not the real threat. The Reapers are still out there.
And it's up to us to stop them.
The Council will never trust Cerberus. They'll never accept our help, even after everything humanity has accomplished. But Shepard, they'll follow him. He's a hero, a bloody icon. But he's just one man. If we lose Shepard, humanity might well follow.
Then see to it that we don't lose him.
Alright, picking up right where we left off, 1 month after the devastating Geth attack on the Citadel, the galactic community struggles to rebuild. The Alliance fleet made a tremendous sacrifice to save the Citadel Council and earned humanity membership in their prestigious group. Now the Council is forced to respond to evidence that the Reapers, enormous machines that eradicate all organic civilization every 50,000 years, have returned. To quell the rumors, the Council has sent Commander Shepard and the Normandy to wipe out the last pockets of Geth resistance. Officially, they blame the invasion on the Geth and their leader, a rogue Spectre. But for those who know the truth, the search for answers is just beginning.
Disengaging FTL drives. Emission sinks active. Board is green. We are running silent.
We're wasting our time. 4 days searching up and down this sector and we haven't found any sign of Geth activity.
3 ships went missing here in the past month. Something happened to them.
My money's on slavers. The Terminus system is crawling with them.
Picking up something on the long-range scanner. Unidentified vessel. Looks like a cruiser.
Doesn't match any known signatures.
Cruiser is changing course. Now on intercept trajectory.
Can't be. Stealth systems are engaged. There's no way a Geth ship could possibly...
It's not the Geth. Brace for evasive maneuvers!
Presley!
Kinetic barriers down. Multiple hull breaches. Weapons offline. Somebody get that fire out.
Shepard!
Distress beacon is ready for launch.
Will the Alliance get here in time?
Alright, first ever dialogue choice of the game here. And let us calm down Liara, who was actually our love interest in the first game. Overall, though, this very first choice here does not have much of an effect.
The Alliance won't abandon us. We just need to hold on. Get everyone onto the escape shuttle.
Joker's still in the cockpit. He won't evacuate. I'm not leaving either.
Now, we could play the superior card here, but considering that Shepard has a much more intimate connection with Liara, I think it's best we go with a more diplomatic approach.
I need you to get the crew onto the evac shuttles. I'll take care of Joker.
Shepard!
Liara, go. Now.
Aye, aye. Everybody in! Go, go, go!
And here we are now for the very first time with control over Commander Shepard.
Mayday! 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 This is SSV Normandy!
Our pilot Joker is already calling for help, and our job is now to rescue him out of the cockpit.
We've suffered heavy damage from an unknown enemy! Come on, baby, hold together. Hold together.
And this right here, I think, already one of the most impressive scenes in the entire game. Commander Shepard in the calm and quiet of space, with the Normandy being torn to bits and pieces around him. Joker, by the way, has brittle bone disease, which makes it nearly impossible for him to move on his own.
Come on, Joker. We have to get out of here.
No, I
won't abandon the Normandy. I can still save her.
Once again, we have a dialogue choice to make here. However, I don't think we need to insult the intelligence of our pilot, so let's simply appeal to his desire to stay alive.
The Normandy's lost. Going down with the ship won't change that.
Yeah, okay. Help me up. They're coming around for another attack. Watch the arm.
Commander Shepard has been recovered. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
He's reacting to outside stimuli, showing an awareness of his surroundings. Oh my God, Miranda, I think he's waking up.
Damn it, Wilson, he's not ready yet. Give him the sedative. Shepard, don't try to move. Just lie still. Try to stay calm.
Heart rate's still climbing. Brain activity is off the charts. Stats pushing into the red zone. It's not working.
Another dose. Now.
Heart rate dropping. Stats falling back into normal range. That was too close. We almost lost him.
I told you your estimates were off. Run the numbers again.
Wake up, Commander. Shepard, do you hear me? Get out of that bed now. This facility is under attack. Shepard, your scars aren't healed, but I need you to get moving. This facility is under attack. There's a pistol in the locker on the other side of the room. Hurry! Grab the pistol and armor from the locker.
So here we are, back among the living, which also unlocks the first achievement. A few things happen here on the right as a result of importing a character from the first game. The most important thing for the moment is that we have leveled up to level 3 because we imported a level 50 character. The rest we'll talk about in due time.
You don't have time to wait around, Shepard. Grab your weapon and armor.
And because we just leveled up, before grabbing our pistol and armor here, we can actually spend some squad points. This is the level up menu, which looks very familiar to the one in the first game, and since we have been bumped up to level 3, we have 4 squad points to spend. At the moment we only have 3 powers to choose from. They get more expensive as we level them up, and we start things off with 2 ranks of combat mastery, which costs us 3 squad points, which gives us a nice increase to health, weapon damage, storm speed and the amount of morality points we gain. And for that reason it takes priority over the other 2 more specialized powers.
This pistol doesn't have a thermal clip.
It's a med bay. We'll get you a clip from... Damn it! Those canisters by the door are going to blow. Get behind cover now. Keep your head down, Shepard. Shield yourself from the blast. Someone's hacking security trying to kill you. Look for a thermal clip for your pistol.
First major change in Mass Effect 2, we now have to worry about ammunition.
Looks like they set up a barricade to try holding the Mechs off.
Next change, we no longer have ammo upgrades, instead we have ammo powers like the Disruptor ammo. Using such a power will activate the ammo type, and since Miranda here has mentioned Mechs, that might be a good thing.
Look out.
And here is now our first enemy, which we'll take out in a very special way.
Keep moving, we need to get to the shuttles.
The punch and shoot combo here is necessary for the Brawler achievement, which unlocks after shooting and killing 20 enemies after they have been knocked back by a punch.
Shepard, security Mechs are closing in on your position. Take cover. Don't take any chances. Stay in cover while you take out those Mechs.
Alright, next area we have a few more enemies here, however our Disruptor ammo should allow us to deal with them fairly quickly. We are also introduced to Shepard's Adrenaline Rush, an ability that slows down time for a brief moment. This makes it a lot easier to land headshots, which are new in Mass Effect 2 and deal increased damage, and landing 30 of them will also unlock another achievement. But for the remaining 2 here we will get ourselves another punch and shoot combo.
Nice work, Shepard. Coast is clear.
Inside of the room here there is some ammo that we don't want to miss. The whole thermal clip thing is a pretty major change in the game. We also don't receive much explanation for it here, but interestingly enough, Shepard already seems to be well adapted.
Don't waste time, I can't keep the Mechs distracted for long. More reinforcements heading your way. Grab the grenade launcher off the security officer's body. Here come the Mechs. Use the grenade. Take the elevator down 1 floor.
Using the grenade launcher here also brings us 1 step closer to the Master at Arms achievement, for which you need to kill enemies with 5 different heavy weapons.
Get to the door, run! You're doing fine, Shep. Head to the next room and I'll try to meet you. Shepard, read me. I've got closing.
The connection to Miranda has broken off for the moment. In the next room right here we can find 2 damaged Mechs crawling along the floor, and we can quickly put them out of their misery before listening to one of Miranda's audio logs.
Progress is slow, but subject shows signs of recovery. Major organs are again functional and there are signs of rudimentary neurological activity. In an effort to accelerate the process, we've moved from simple organic reconstruction of the subject to biosynthetic fusion. Initial results show promise.
We learn a bit more about how we were brought back to life, and up next we are introduced to the bypassing minigame with the safe on the wall here. The process here pretty much explains itself. All we have to do is connect the matching nodes, of which there are 5 pairs. Once the task is complete, we are granted access to the safe, which earns us 975 credits.
Log update. The cost of this project is astronomical. Over 4 billion credits so far. But nobody seems to care that we've gone over budget. I don't know where the boss gets all his money. Maybe it's better not to know. I just wish he'd kick a little more in my direction once in a while.
Alright, we just heard from a different person for the first time. You might remember him from the opening scene inside of the med bay, and he adds some additional information about the project of bringing Shepard back.
Log update. I can't figure Miranda out. As project director, she should be ecstatic at all the progress we've made. But she's still the same old Ice Queen. Maybe she's worried Shepard might become the new favorite. Or maybe she is just a pure cold-hearted bitch.
More background info on Miranda here, and moving on, we once again have ourselves some company. In the firefight here we are able to get ourselves 2 more headshot kills. Now we already have 3 of the 30 needed for the Headhunter achievement.
You're done! What are you doing here?
Thought you were still a work in progress.
This dialogue right here presents our first opportunity to gain some morality points. Those work a tiny bit differently than in Mass Effect 1, but I will explain that in a second. For the moment, the choice is easy as only one of the 3 options here gives us morality points, so let's get started with 2 renegade points.
Look, pal, I don't know where I am or how I got here. Plus my head feels like an overripe melon ready to split open. How about you fill me in a little?
Damn. Yeah, I forgot this is all new to you. Sorry about that. I'm Jacob Taylor. I've been stationed here for—
Hostiles detected.
Damn it! Things must be worse than I thought if Miranda's got you running around. I'll fill you in, but we better get you to the shuttle first.
So, about the whole Paragon Renegade system. In Mass Effect 1 it was possible to go for balance between Paragon and Renegade, and we did exactly that, and managed to max out both of the respective meters. In Mass Effect 2 the system has been reworked. Every time you have a dialogue choice like this one right here, where you can either get Paragon or Renegade points, the side you choose gains points while the other one suffers. That is because in Mass Effect 2 it is no longer only the total amount of points that counts, but rather it is the amount of points you have relative to the amount of points you could have. So if you always switch things up between Paragon and Renegade, then ultimately you will end up missing out on both, which in a few key moments in the game will become a problem. So in Mass Effect 2 you need to pick one moral direction and stick with it. Not religiously, of course, you can from time to time collect points for the other side, but at least for the majority of your decisions. And that is exactly what we'll do here as well. We will go with the Paragon option. Renegade Shepard in this game has tendencies to become somewhat of a psychopath, so we will go with Paragon for the most part, but just like you saw previously, there are exceptions, and a few Renegade options here and there won't hurt us.
I know this isn't the best time, but I'm sick of stumbling around when I don't know what's going on.
Fair enough. I'll give you the quick version. You and your ship were attacked and destroyed. You were killed. Dead as dead can be when they brought you here. Our scientists spent the last 2 years putting you back together. You've been comatose, or worse, that whole time. Welcome back to your life.
And I think it would also be smart to get a bit more info on our current location.
This doesn't look like an Alliance facility.
It isn't. I can't say much more than that for now. The Alliance officially declared you killed in action. The whole galaxy thinks you're dead. And if we don't get to those shuttles, they'll be right.
We have the chance for one more question, and this right here should be an important one for Shepard.
Were there any other survivors from the Normandy?
I'll tell you what. You help me finish off these mechs, and I'll play 20 questions with you all day. We're low on thermal clips, but I'm a biotic. Just give the order when you want me to hit them with the good stuff.
Alright, as you can see, we just gained 2 Paragon and 2 Renegade points, and we are also introduced to Jacob's biotic pull ability, an ability that is somewhat similar to Lift from Mass Effect 1. We also get ourselves 3 more headshots in this fight, and afterwards we have a bit more time for conversation.
Okay. I promised I'd answer your questions. What do you want to know?
Alright, as you can see, we can learn quite a bit here, and I think we should start with the commander himself.
You said they spent 2 years rebuilding me? How bad were my injuries?
I'm no doctor, but it was bad. When I first saw you, you were nothing but meat and tubes. Anywhere else, they'd have put you in a coffin. But Project Lazarus was different. Cutting-edge technology.
And since that was still pretty vague, let's try to learn a bit more.
What do you mean? Cloning? Cybernetics?
I don't know the details. You'd have to ask the scientists. But I'm pretty sure you're not a clone. They wanted to bring you back exactly as you were. You're still you. You just might have a few extra bits and pieces now.
Learning the name of Project Lazarus here also gives us the chance to ask further questions, so once again, let's try to find out a bit more.
What can you tell me about the project? Were there other test subjects?
Project Lazarus only had one subject. The whole point was to bring you back. Just you. Even that was a challenge. 2 years. All the top scientists. The best technology money could buy.
I already mentioned it in the previous conversation, Shepard's crew was an important part in the last game, so even 2 years later, he's probably still interested to know what happened to them.
The last thing I remember is the Normandy blowing up. Did anyone else make it?
Just about everybody survived. A few servicemen from the lower decks didn't get out. Navigator Presley was killed by an explosion. But everyone else, including the non-Alliance crew, the Asari, Liara, and the Quarian, they all made it out alive.
Well, that is good to hear, and since Shepard is back as well, we might eventually try to get the band back together.
Do you know what any of them are doing now?
I don't know, Commander. It's been 2 years. They've moved on. Left the Alliance. Could be anywhere.
They were my team. If they knew I was alive, they'd come back.
Maybe you can track them down after we get off the station. if we get off the station.
Well, speaking of the station, it is probably also a good idea to learn a bit more about the attack that we find ourselves in the middle of.
Do you know anything about this attack? Who's behind it? What they're after?
Damned if I know. I was getting ready for some shut-eye, then bam! Bunch of explosions. Next thing I know, every damn mech in the place starts shooting at us. I'm guessing it had to be an inside job. You'd need top security access to hack all the mechs.
Alright, an inside job here, that is a very good point. And on that note, it might be smart to learn a bit more about Miranda, who seems to have played a crucial role in bringing us back.
When I first woke up, someone named Miranda was talking to me over the radio. We lost contact just before I ran into you.
Miranda Lawson is the station's ranking officer. She led the Lazarus team. It was her job to bring you back to life, no matter what. Should have guessed she'd try to save you. She's not about to give up on you now. You said you lost contact. Could you tell what was happening?
Well, not exactly, but losing contact in the middle of a firefight, that is normally considered bad news.
There was some gunfire and an explosion right before I lost her.
She knows how to take care of herself. But I hope she's okay.
Alright then, one last question. After asking about everyone else, we should also learn a bit more about Jacob here.
What's your job here?
Depends on who you ask. Technically, I'm Miranda's top lieutenant. But I'm just a soldier. I served 5 years in the Alliance before this. Now I'm in charge of the station's security. Usually a lot more dull than this. Normally I don't fire my gun unless it's target practice.
Well, I have a feeling there will be plenty of target practice down the line, so let's take Jacob here and move on.
What's the quickest way to those shuttles?
Depends where the mechs are thickest. It's probably best if
Check. Anyone on this frequency? Anybody still alive out there? Hello?
Wilson, this is Jacob. I'm here with Commander Shepard. Just took out a wave of mechs over in D-Wing.
Shepard's alive? How the hell? Never mind. You need to get him out of there. Get to the service tunnels and head for the network control room.
Roger that, Wilson. Stay on this frequency.
The name Wilson should sound familiar at this point. In any case, it can't hurt to ask one more question.
I think I remember a Wilson checking on me one time when I woke up.
That's him. He's the chief medical tech. Answers directly to Miranda. Come on. The service tunnels are this way.
Now, before we continue, time to listen to one more audio log of Wilson himself.
Log update. The Lazarus Project is about to enter the final phase. It's taken nearly 2 years, but we did it. Commander Shepard is alive. This is the most amazing medical achievement in recorded history. Maybe now Miranda will finally show some appreciation for everything I've done.
One more thing I should mention, at this point we could also level up Jacob, but he has a certain power that would spoil a bit of the plot in the game, so we are not doing that. The next few firefights should be easy enough.
You're up! Damn it, Wilson.
The whole station is crawling with mechs. I'm doing the best I can.
Another room with 3 mechs inside, and with that, as Jacob said, more target practice, as we also successfully land 3 more headshots.
Wilson, find us another route out of here. Preferably one that doesn't lead straight into an enemy squad.
Just keep moving toward the control room. Don't get pinned down. I'll see what I can do. Oh, God. They found me. Help!
Wilson, where are you?
Server room B! Hurry! They're out of control!
Up those stairs, Shepard.
Now, there is a door to the right here, but we'll leave that be for the moment. Instead, we're heading left, where we can once again listen to Miranda.
Physical reconstruction of subject is complete, but we still need to evaluate all mental and neurological functions. Our orders were clear. Make Commander Shepard who he was before the explosion. The same mind, the same morals, the same personality. If we alter his identity in any way, if he's somehow not the man he used to be, the Lazarus Project will have failed. I refuse to let that happen.
And this also confirms what Jacob already said, we are definitely not a clone.
Shepard, down here! Bastards got me in the leg!
Alright, this right here is Wilson, who seems to have been shot, and we can get 2 free Paragon points here if we choose the right dialogue option.
We need to get off this station.
I'm not going anywhere till someone fixes my leg.
Should be some Metagel in the first aid station on the wall. Hopefully there's enough to get him up and moving again.
Grab the Metagel from the first aid station on the wall.
Once we have the Metagel, we can use our Unity ability, and that will patch Wilson up.
Thanks, Shepard. Never thought you'd save my life. Guess that makes us even now. I thought maybe I could shut down the security mechs, but whoever did this fried the whole system. Completely irreversible.
We didn't ask what you were doing. Why do you even have security mech clearance? You were in the bio wing.
Weren't you listening? I came here to try and fix this. Besides, I was shot. How do you explain that?
We had 2 free Paragon points before, here we have 2 free Renegade points, so let's take the corresponding option to get those.
I don't care who set up who. Those mechs are shooting at all of us. We'll sort it out later.
We need to find Miranda first. We can't just leave her behind.
Forget about Miranda. She was over in D-Wing. The mechs were all over that sector. There's no way she survived.
A bunch of mechs won't drop Miranda. She's alive.
Then where is she? Why haven't we heard from her? There are only 2 possible explanations. She's either dead, or she's a traitor.
Once again, we have the choice between Paragon and Renegade, and since Miranda at least seemed to do her best so far to help us, at this point I don't think she's the one trying to kill us.
Then why did you wake me up and warn me about the attack?
Okay, maybe she's not a traitor, but that doesn't change the facts. We're here, she's not. We need to save ourselves. The shuttle bay is only a few... We can overload the canisters to clear a path to the shuttles.
Alright, quick intro to Wilson's overload ability, which we can promptly use to clear the way.
That's it. Let's get out of here.
Okay, we took him down, but this is getting tense. Shepard, if I tell you who we work for, will you trust me?
This really isn't the time, Jacob.
We won't make it if he's expecting a shot in the back.
If you want to piss off the boss, it's your ass, Jacob.
The Lazarus Project, the program that rebuilt you. It's funded and controlled by Cerberus.
Okay, now I'm not going to give you a full rundown of Cerberus in Mass Effect 1. To sum it up briefly, they were pretty much terrorists who had a very strong anti-alien agenda. So yes, the name does sound familiar, and the corresponding option here also once again gives us 2 Paragon points.
I think I ran into Cerberus a few times while I was investigating Saren. Some kind of pro-human splinter group, right?
Well, that's what the Alliance wants people to believe. But there's more to it. The Alliance declared you dead. They gave up. Cerberus spent a fortune to bring you back. Look, I'd be suspicious too, but right now we have to work together. I thought you deserved to know what's what. Once we're off the station, I'll take you to the Illusive Man. He'll explain everything. I promise.
And since Jacob so casually mentions the Illusive Man, let's dig a bit deeper there.
Illusive Man? Is he in charge of all this?
Yeah, that's not his real name, of course. Nobody knows who he really is.
It was a code name the Alliance used for him. Kinda stuck.
With what we know about Cerberus at this point, it seems more than reasonable that Shepard has made up his mind about them, and so the Paragon option here is what I would choose in his position as well.
I don't care what they did or what you say. I'm not working with terrorists.
You can tell it to the boss, but after we've saved our butts. We're almost at the shuttle.
Alright, after the conversation we are now introduced to the hacking minigame, which is once again a matching game. From the moving code snippets on screen, we need to choose the one that is selected at the top. In total, we need to do that 3 times, and that unlocks the datapad here and earns us a further 900 credits. Down the stairs and to the right, we proceed into the next area, where another firefight waits for us. Immediately after entering, we rush in to get into the safety of some cover, from which we can then land 2 more headshots to get our total up to 11. A third mag now slowly approaches from the right, and that one also gets a well-placed shot in the head. Now, we could have gone straight ahead, but instead we turn left here. We will also tell both Wilson and Jacob to stay put, otherwise they might steal our kills. With Shepard himself, we then move up towards the crate on the left, from where we can quickly land another headshot, and the resulting explosion also heavily damages a second mech. However, we not only have mechs on the left, but also on the right side, so at the moment Shepard is in somewhat of a precarious situation. 2 headshots later though, the enemies on the right flank are removed, and with our shields down we can briefly focus on the 3 that remain on the left. We land 1 more headshot, getting the total up to 16, the resulting explosion also kills mech number 3, and now that only 1 of them is left we can rush in, and sadly discover a bit too late that its health bar is too low for the punch and shoot combo. Shepard himself has also taken quite the punishment, and more enemies are on the way, as the door on the other side of the area has opened and 4 more mechs are closing in. An overload from Wilson, however, sets the first 2 up for some well-placed headshots, and so with our shields regenerating, that leaves only 2. And for those, we want to focus our fire on the one that is already damaged, and for a change we don't want to kill him with a headshot, in order to avoid the resulting explosion. This now leaves 1 single mech with a full health bar, who is now the perfect target for the 3rd successful punch and shoot combo of this playthrough. Instead of moving on, we turn around at this point. You might have seen it, the room that we first cleared out holds some interesting things. For example, another datapad that we can hack for 975 credits. On the wall, we also have a safe that we can bypass for a further 900 credits, and once we have those, there is also one last audio log that we can listen to.
Test subject has been recovered, but the damage is far worse than we initially feared. In addition to the expected burns and internal injuries from the explosion, subject has suffered significant cellular breakdown due to long-term exposure to vacuum and sub-zero temperatures. Despite the extent of the physical trauma, Wilson assures me subject is salvageable. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
And only now that we have gathered all those credits and information we can move on, hopefully towards a shuttle that will allow us to escape.
Come on, through here. We're almost at the... Miranda, but you were...
Dead?
What the hell are you doing?
My job. Wilson betrayed us all.
Well, seems like Wilson was the traitor, at least that is what Miranda thinks. Still, her methods can rightfully be questioned.
Even if you're sure, did he deserve that welcome?
He sabotaged the security systems, killed my staff, and he would have killed us.
You sure about that, Miranda? We've known Wilson for years. What if you're wrong?
I'm never wrong. I thought you'd have learnt that by now, Jacob.
Interesting at this point is that she doesn't present us with any proof, and also just killed the only person we could obtain some from.
You should have taken him alive. See what he knew.
Too risky. I've put too much time and effort bringing you back to life to let you get killed now.
You really think Wilson's capable of that?
Not anymore.
Admittedly, you can't argue with that logic, and yes, Wilson did seem a bit shifty, so let's get ourselves the 2 renegade points we can obtain here.
I had a feeling Wilson was just looking for a chance to shoot me in the back.
Good instincts. Some people are far too trusting to ever see that coming. Come on, let's grab this shuttle and get out of here. My boss wants to speak to you.
You mean the Illusive Man? I know you work for Cerberus.
Ah, Jacob. I should have known your conscience would get the better of you.
Lying to the commander isn't the way to get him to join our cause.
Well, since we're getting everything out in the open, is there anything else you want to ask before we go, Commander?
Well, quite a few things actually, and this time we will start with Miranda herself.
You're the Lazarus Project's director, aren't you?
That's right. I put 2 years of my life into this project. Into you.
What does Cerberus want from me?
Maybe you should ask the Illusive Man when you meet him. He poured virtually unlimited resources into Lazarus. Obviously, he has some kind of plan for you.
Now, since Shepard likely doesn't trust anyone at this point, we might also ask about Miranda's motives for showing up just at the right moment.
Convenient that you show up as we're leaving. Where were you during the attack?
Besides trying to save your life? Wilson figured out I was helping you when he sent an army of Mechs to take me out. I got here as soon as I could. Probably a little too soon if you ask Wilson.
Speaking of those Mechs, we saw them kill quite a few other people, but maybe, since we made it out alive, some others could have escaped as well.
What about the rest of the people on the station?
This is the evac area. If they're not here now, they're not coming.
We can't leave without knowing for sure. We need to go back and look.
Don't you get it? The only one worth saving is you. Everyone else is expendable.
She's right. We all knew the risks when we signed up. Without you, there's no point to any of this.
Seems like that is settled, no need to look back, so let's look ahead and maybe we can learn where we're going.
Where are we going?
Another Cerberus facility. The Illusive Man is waiting for you there.
And really just a hypothetical question at this point, what would happen if we were to refuse?
I'm not sure I trust you.
This is the only shuttle off the station. You want to stay and rot with the Mechs? Be my guest.
For some reason, I very much doubt she would let that happen. Still, at this point, it is probably best not to find out.
I've had enough of this station to last a lifetime.
Or 2, in your case. Come on. Before you meet with the Illusive Man, we need to ask a few questions to evaluate your condition.
Come on, Miranda, more tests? Shepard took down those Mechs without any trouble. That has to be good enough.
It's been 2 years since the attack. The Illusive Man needs to know that Shepard's personality and memories are intact. Ask the questions.
And yes, the whole 2 years thing, we haven't really asked about that yet. A good point to do it here.
Did you say 2 years? I've been gone that long?
2 years and 12 days. And you were on an operating table for most of it.
The sooner we start, the sooner we can be done. Start with personal history.
Okay. Records show you grew up on Earth. Tough environment, no parents. You enlisted and you survived a Thresher Maw attack that wiped out the rest of your team. Do you remember that?
Alright, this right here recaps our Earthborn sole survivor background, and we once again have the choice between a Paragon, a Renegade, and a neutral answer, and also once again we will go with Paragon.
I lost a lot of friends that day. Going through something like that changes you. It can break you if you let it.
I read the report. 50 Marines died on a cruise. You were the only one who lived. Satisfied, Miranda?
Almost. Let's try something more recent. Vermeer, where you destroyed Saren's cloning facility. You had to leave one of your squad behind to die in the blast.
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams was killed in action. It was your call. Why did you leave her behind?
Another story recap here, this time of our decisions on Vermeer, and we will go Paragon here again. I also think that reflects Shepard's thoughts best.
I left a friend to die that day, and I didn't do it casually. But I had to save as many people as I could. Ash gave her life for the rest of the team. Without her, I couldn't have stopped Saren. She died a hero.
I understand, Commander, and I wasn't judging your decision. Everybody at Cerberus knows that cloning facility had to be destroyed.
Shepard, think back to the Citadel, after the Alliance saved the Destiny Ascension and you killed Saren. What happened next?
Now, this right here is an interesting one. Yes, we had a choice recommending Udina or Anderson, but we instead chose to not get involved. At this point, it has actually never been revealed to us yet who ultimately joined the council, but because we didn't get involved, the council went with the obvious candidate, and that would be the politician Udina, so even though we technically didn't recommend him, we'll choose the corresponding option here.
Humanity was offered a spot on the council. I recommended Ambassador Udina for the position.
Yes, Ambassador Udina is now Councillor Udina. He's done an admirable job of representing humanity's interests.
Not sure he's done enough for humanity, but I guess that's politics for you.
Your memory seems solid. There are other tests we really should run.
Come on, Miranda. Enough with the quizzes. The memories are there, and I can vouch for Shepard's combat skills personally.
I suppose you're right. We'll have to hope the Illusive Man accepts our little field test as evidence enough. The Illusive Man is waiting for you in the other room.
Alright, here we are, alive again and ready to start our next adventure. It has been a very long episode 1, and I would say this is a very good point to make the cut. Next time we will then meet the Illusive Man and see how the journey continues. Until then, as always, if you liked the episode, I would be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. Once again, if you want to learn more about the storyline so far, then feel free to check out the Mass Effect 1 playthrough or the 15-minute Genesis video. Both of those are linked in the description and the comments. Also, if you want to support the channel further, then you can either subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest videos, or you can support the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.